once you have everything drawn in, your goal today is to get everything drawn with the white charcoal pencil so you're ready to add color. Hopefully some of you will be adding color by the end. But this is the point where you want to be citing. Remember, this is how you get it accurate and on the page the way it needs to be. So it's really important that you have your pencil out. Remember, if you hold it all the way at the end and check those angles, put it on a horizontal, and you can say, oh, so the whistle is like a little more than 45, maybe 50, 60 degrees if you're drawing the whistle, for example, and then you can move it over and get it exactly. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. And the same thing with checking distances. For this one, what I did is I made the width of that 0 little toy thing on top. I measured that it's about this big, and then I compared it to the boat. It's a little bit wider than the boat, so I went here and I made the boat a little bit shorter here so it fit in. So I used that. I said, okay, then the width of the 0 compared to the height of the boat. And I kept checking distances like that to that one to make sure it all fit on the page correctly. The goal of a still life is to draw what you see. So you want to make sure what you get on the page is exactly what you see up there, as close as you can get to it. Now, once we have it all blocked in, we've checked our angles and our measurements and things like that, then I want to start to color it with the colors I see up there. And I don't have them exactly in the soft pastels, but I do have some similar things. So just like we did when we practiced on the blue paper, I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to start with the 0. I have this blue. That's going to be my local color. That means the color the object is. So it's blue, but there's highlights and there's shadows. So this is my local color. This is the blue for the 0. I'm going to do my highlights with white because they look pretty even in white. I also have a light blue. Maybe I'll keep that light blue out too. And I like to just have a couple next to me. And then I have a dark blue. So what I did, I got these out. I tested them. You guys have your other scratch paper from the other day. And then I tested these and said, okay, I think that works. So I have some colors to work with before I start. And then I'm going to take my local color, the color the object is itself, and I'm just going to start to put that in. Now you'll notice as you do that, as you go over your white charcoal lines, they're actually going to kind of disappear. Which on one hand is good because we don't have outlines in life, right? Unless you live in a comic book. There's no outlines around you. So I do want to get rid of those lines, but I carefully drew them. So I'm just going to draw a little bit at a time. So I'm kind of filling in my local color. And I'm not pressing hard, I'm not scrubbing the paper, but just getting a little bit on there. Thank you. All kinds of passes today. Thank you. And then I see inside there's a shadow in here. So I'm going to go in with my darker color and I go over my line. I can erase some of those white charcoal lines if I want, or I can go right up to them and go over them, and then, because I don't want to have those out there, what I've done, as I was saying, the outlines don't exist in life. And then over here, this is in shadow. So I can go here and draw that in. I'm not blending yet. I'm getting everything in there. And I notice the little red block casts a shadow on here too. So that, I need to draw that in. So I have that goes in there. And then if I kind of squint or close one eye, it's easier to see highlights. And when I do that, I see that there's more of a highlight right here. It's not the whole area that's lit up. It's just kind of this section right here. And you may notice as I add a second layer of soft pastel, it actually starts to blend. So you don't see the texture of the paper as much. The texture actually helps my drawing. We have two like stacks of paper that we got for this project, and I looked at some this morning. Some of them have more tooth on one side than the other, so if you haven't started yet, you might want to check that. I go for the side with more tooth. If you have, both sides worked last period, so it was fine. And then I see a little bit of highlight here. So as I do that, I might say, you know what, there's not as much on the paper here. Maybe I'll blend that in there. And these are really pretty dark. It's not always that dark, so maybe I'm going to bring some of this blue on top of it. Oh, look at that, it's blending for me, which I like because I want that edge to be more precise. So I might leave this here and not use my finger to blend any of this part at all. Oh, but now it's getting a little light. All right, now I'm going to use my little finger because I have these crisp edges I want, and come around those Anything works. And then, I don't know if you remember from our practice, you get to a point where you just want to leave it alone. Because when you keep blending for too long, it just all becomes one color. So I might go like this, bring this in. Here. Oh, I lost those edges. Oh, so disappointing. But that's okay, because I'm not done. So I'm going to come up to this edge and define this edge. I'm going to go here. Now I got dark on my finger. I got to remember that. So this might be a good time to go here. Get this edge. And I lost the shadow of my block. I'm going to use a different finger on that. I have a couple paper towels here that I got a little bit wet, and that helps me just kind of get some stuff off my fingers so that it's easier to get this now. Oops, I needed the dark. I want to go back and get this square in here because that kind of got lost. And that happens. I can fix it. I do like to go back once I'm done to kind of do a check and say, all right, this edge might need a little more definition. And I can draw with this edge, or I can draw with this edge with my eraser. Because I am going to come back and put the green in there. But I can start to see, you know, do I have enough white in here? Maybe I need a little more. But just check, because sometimes when you blend, wherever you put those things may not still be there. So now I have some nice variation in that right there. I see some highlight here too. I'm going to come back. I'd spend a little more time. I'd clean up this edge, but I think you guys get the idea. I want to give you more time to draw. Don't go yet. I got more. Still exciting. Because now over here, I only have one red. These sets have one red. So what do I do? We did shadows a couple different ways. One way was with a darker color. The other way was looking at the color wheel. What kind of colors on the color wheel are in your shadows? What is it? Well, sometimes we use black, but I don't give you black for this because I want you to know color theory. What color on the color wheel? You can show the color wheel. Oh. What color on the color wheel is? Oh, you can't turn it though.
Oh.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. What's in the shadow? Who remembers? It was like 2 days ago. Compliments.
Compliments.
The complement. Thank you. So if I need to do a red block, thank you. Come back over here now. If I need to do this red block, I need a shadow. I got to use green because green is across the color wheel. That's the complement. So I have my red, and I'm going to pick a dark green because that's the shadow. And you're going to look at this and go, what is she doing? I know this, but look. I'm making the whole side of this red block green. Aren't you glad that you didn't just walk away from my demo and you saw this whole thing? I am too. Good. And then I'm going to go over here because I see a little bit of dark there. But the light is coming this way. So on my red block, could you zoom in on the red block? Thank you. I see this here. Here's this side. Oh, look, it's like Christmas on my red block. There we go. I draw that edge in. And then I mix this up on top here. Try and get that. And I'm going to go over the green with my red because it's not really green itself, but that green is causing this to look dark. So that when I blend them, I will get what looks like a dark red. I also see, oh, look at this. That's really dark. I might go some more red in there. But it darkens it so it's now believably in shadow. Look at that. I didn't even see the green. I see dark red. How fabulous is that? Clean that off a little bit to get the light side. I get my light side. And then there's a little bit of change in the top. And I've carefully observed the still life. I'm not just drawing out of my brain. I'm drawing what I see. And there's a little bit of highlight here. That defines that edge. And then I'm going to define this edge here. So I get a block. Remember, edges have to be defined. Curves need to be blended. And then I'm going to fix this edge with my eraser. All right, so my point is, this edge needs more fixing. Complements and darks and lights should be a part of your still life. It's bothering me. It's not parallel. All right, does this make sense? Are you inspired? Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Good. Go. Thank you.